Hi everyone, welcome to Life Tips by Ning. Today we're gonna answer the question, can we change our fate? Remember in the last video, I was sharing the three dimensions of heaven, man, and earth from I Ching, trying to explain why people with the same birth time might have differences in their life path. But today we're gonna have a laser zoom in that middle layer of man and using an ancient book to share with you how powerful a man's free will positively influence and change his own life path. So the book is called Liao Fan Xun. It translates into letters from Liao Fan to his son. It's a classic Buddhism literature, very popular in the Ming and Qing dynasty. But if you ask me to use one sentence to summarize the essence of the book, it's all about this concept of heaven is the creator of my destiny, but I am the creator of my own fate. The book is broken down into 4 different chapters. So the first chapter is Liao Fan's own life storytelling and sharing his revelation with his son. So he was born in 1533 in Ming Dynasty, and his dad was a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. His original goal was to go through the college entrance exam, which in that time was the only way to become a government official. But the unfortunate thing happened when he was 14. His dad passed away, so he was forced to change his life plan and take after his dad to learn medicine and practice medicine. And one day he ran into an old man in a temple, and the old man approached Liao Fan saying, "What a shame that you're not pursuing government official anymore, because I can see you do quite well in the college entrance exam next year." So Liao Fan was quite puzzled, saying, "How could you possibly predict what might happen in the future?" So this old man shared that he has a mastery understanding of a life reading tool, and he shared what had already happened in Liao Fan's life to this date. Everything turned out to be super accurate, which convinced Liao Fan to take on his recommendation and change his life back to pursuing this government official path. He also invited this old man back home in order to convince his mother. Before this old man departed his life, he shared the prediction of Liao Fan's remainder of his life in front of him, even to the freakish detail of what is the exact rank of your exam results, or at what age you will achieve a certain level of positional power. And throughout your life, you're not able to have a son, and by age 53, you'll pass away. So you unfold your whole life in front of the person. After this mysterious encounter, Liao Fan just lived his life for the next 10ish years. And the more he lived through his life, the more he realized that everything happened exactly according to that prediction. And he's like, what's the point of trying or putting in effort? Because it seems like the rest of my life already been predicted and pre-written. There's no way I can influence or change it. So he started to not work as hard or being as ambitious as his younger self. But when he turned 36, he ran into the pivotal moment, um, meeting a master monk in a temple in Nanjing. And they spent 3 days and 3 nights together, meditating and talking about Buddhism wisdom. So after that interaction, the master monk asked Liao Fan, how could a man of your age be able to achieve such a high level of Buddhism awakening or enlightenment? Because I don't see you getting distracted by random thoughts, and you're able to concentrate and meditate for such a long time. Liao Fan just simply shared his encounter with the old man, saying, because this prediction is so accurate, I understand the Buddhism teaching of impermanence, and I don't see the point of trying too hard because everything's already predetermined. After hearing this answer, the master monk just laughed at him, saying, "Oh, I originally assumed you have such a high level of wisdom, of Zen, and learning and understanding of Buddhism teaching, but I guess I was wrong. You're just one of the ordinary men." The monk further explained that even though you're true, to a certain extent, ordinary people's life is being constrained by this supposedly predetermined life pattern. But the extreme kind and extreme evil people are able to escape from this predetermined destiny. He started to share like the Buddhism teaching of Dharma, which means the path of rightness, and showing Liao Fan how to have a more positive outlook in life, how he's able to take control of his own destiny by practice extreme dharma and kindness. So after this pivotal moment in his life, that's when Liao Fan changed his name to this. Liao Fan in Chinese means Liao is getting rid of or eliminate. Fan means ordinary or the norm. So that shows his commitment that he wants to reshape his life and get rid of the path of how he's been living until 36. I want to have a brand new outlook for life. I want to do positive deeds in order to change and influence his own fate. So the remainder of his life, his first commitment was to do 3,000 good deeds. He was able to achieve that within 10 years. The reason it's taking long is because the moment you have even one evil thought in your head, that wipe out all the prior good deeds, so you have to start all over again. But he was able to achieve that commitment, and he started to notice his life path deviates from the old prediction. He was able to have a son after 10 years of doing good deeds, and that strengthened and giving him more confidence that he can do more. And his next commitment is to do 10,000 good deeds before he dies. But he runs into a problem of, it took me 10 years to only finish 3,000. How could I possibly achieve such a grand dream of 10,000 great deeds? So in his book, he shared that he was dreaming one night and had some divine intervention telling him, good deeds is not about quantity. It's about how sincere your heart is and how big of an impact you will benefit other people. So after that dream, he started to use his positional power of government official and start to benefit hundreds and thousands of citizens through reducing tax burden or building infrastructure to prevent natural disaster, which will save lives. So he was successfully able to achieve this 10,000 kind deeds, this grand goal in his life. He ended up passing away at age 74, which is considered quite a long lifespan in ancient time in Ming Dynasty. So that's just like in chapter 1, his own life story telling to his son. And the main takeaway for chapter 1 was, do not waste your life and go with the flow. You can take a driver's seat and ownership of your own destiny by benefiting other people by constantly perfecting yourself. So moving on to chapter 2, Chapter 2 is about inner drive and motivation for why it matters. He shared 3 different angles with his son. The first is called self-criticism. The second is respect for the divine. And the third is bravery. So a lot of people are pretty familiar with the East Asian culture of shame. My husband is from the US, right? He just gets so puzzled by why are you having such a shame culture? This is where the root comes from. So the concept is that the major difference between man and animal is that we will feel shameful when we commit something unfavorable or undesirable. And that is the true differentiator for humans to continuous grow, perfect, and develop ourselves. So this self-criticism and shame culture is quite rooted in East Asian culture like Korea, Japan, and China. And that's how we keep on pushing ourselves to higher standards. It's the same thing in this book. Liao Fan used this as a generator and motivator for his son to do good deeds for the rest of his life. And the second inner drive is called fear or respect of the divine. So sometimes all of us humans, where we all have sins, we might have evil thoughts in our heads, even though it might seem nobody else knows about it, but we are only in this three-dimensional world, right? There'll be higher dimensions out there, either God or spiritual power. They will know. So eventually at Judgment Day, we'll be called on all of our good and evil deeds and our sins, paying for punishment for our sins. So because of this um, deep respect and fear for divine intervention, that's another driver for us to do good deeds and doing this Dharma path, right? The path of rightness. And the third inner drive is bravery. It says we are our own biggest enemy, and it's hard to face our own weakness and shortcomings. And you need to be brave enough to hold up a mirror and see yourself in a objective term in order to take immediate action and have this lifelong commitment to live in the righteous way. So yeah, that's chapter 2, pretty much using an inner value-driven approach to motivate his son to practice a life of rightness and doing karma, good karma and good dharma. And the third chapter is the exact how of practicing kind deeds. He shared a lot of very interesting examples. Some are counterintuitive than what we perceive as kind in modern society. I'll share a few highlights of the examples. So you might have two people. One person use harsh word, maybe even like slap you on the face or something super aggressive. The other person is the opposite of using warm words, super kind. So the question is, which one is kind? Which one is evil? The answer is actually, it depends on your intent for that behavior. If the intent is to benefit the other person, it is a kind deed. And if the intent is to benefit yourself, it is an evil deed. So if I'm talking to you in a harsh way, very directly, right? But my intent is to wake you up, is to give you constructive feedback so you can grow and be a better version of yourself. That is essentially a kind deed, even though on the surface it's not perceived that way. But in contrast, if I'm being super nice to a person, but the ultimate drive is to make myself look good, earn myself this positive and nice reputation, that is a very self-centered intent. So it is an evil deed. And another example is some people might do a huge, large donation to charity, but they do it for the purpose of gaining fame in society for themselves. So that is not a good deed. But in contrast, some people might very silently or unnoticeably donate all of their lifelong earnings to a charity cause, and their intent is to try their best to help a social cause. It's not about gaining fame or recognition for themselves. So that is a kind deed. And another example, he cited like Confucius teaching, saying the Confucius master had two disciples or two students. Once student number one, he did a really kind deed, but said no to all the rewards or thank you gifts. And student number two saved a drowning child. And actually, the child's parents were trying to say thank you by gifting him a cow, which is super valuable. And the student took it as a gift. So the Confucius teaching was actually student two did the right thing. You might be like, why? It doesn't even make sense. And the rationale behind that is your intent is to influence the ordinary crowd to copy you and do the same kind of deeds. And crowds are motivated by material gains. So if student one, you're trying to do this extreme sainthood of behavior that most people are just unable to copy you, then it's only you, one person, doing one good deeds. But student number two, because you're showing other people you can have material gain, which matters a lot to people by helping others, and more people will copy you and learn from you in order to get material rewards. So the end result is more people will do and multiply the effect of those kind deeds. So the end result is student two has a more powerful influence. So that is a bigger and broader kind impact. And a third example is talking about short-term versus long-term impact. It's all intent-driven decisions. So he's using like a gentleman. He ignored a drunk person, like swearing or cussing at him. He thought he was doing that guy a favor by not messing with him and taking the high road. But eventually, this drunk person started to commit more crime and escalate his crime level to the point of murderer. So he was sentenced to death. And this gentleman reflected on his own encounter with this drunk guy, saying that in hindsight, I wish I could have intervened and sent him to the police, because that could have possibly prevented him from escalating into this irreversible path of death sentence. I could have helped him. So in the long run, it's not about me or me taking the high road looking good. It's about how I could help him to have a better outcome in his life. And that would have been a kinder deed. So it's a learning lesson. And a last example, I'm just showing you all these fascinating things I learned from the book. So the last one is, when this person was poor, all he had was 20 cents, let's say, and he donated his whole 20 cents to help other people. But eventually, when he finally reached rich, wealthy stage of his life, he donated $2,000 to charity. So on the surface, 2,000 definitely looks better than 20 cents. But the book actually says, if you were able to give when it's the hardest for you, when you need others' help, but you're still giving 100% of your belongings, that is a way kinder deed than giving out $2,000 because it's only a portion of your overall asset. So it's showing you the difficulty for this person and the sincerity of that heart for doing the kind deeds. So, I mean, you can actually buy the book from Amazon. I think it's called 4 Lessons from Liao Fan, to read more details of other examples. But it's it's the meat of that whole book is chapter 3, showing his son exactly how to effectively help other people. And the last chapter is about modesty and humbleness. He's saying, now that you know my life revelation, you know the inner drive of why we need to live this way. And I also showed you how to live the Dharma, the path of rightness. I also want to remind you the importance of being modest and practice humbleness. That's your major theme throughout your whole life. He's all about how do we support others to achieve their dreams and don't put ourselves as the center of attention. It's about tuning your own horn. It's about supporting other people. And he tied that also back to I Ching. In my last video, I said there are a total of 64 hexagrams in I Ching. And each hexagram has 6 different lines, right? There's only one hexagram that all of the 6 lines have favorable results. There's nothing that's ranging of unfavorable or looking bad. That's the only one. And that particular hexagram means modesty. So that shows you the importance of practicing a modest attitude in life. So that's just a summary of this whole Liao Fan Cixun book and the wisdom it teaches us. My personal takeaway is that the teachings are simple to understand, but they're not easy to do in life. I'll share a personal example. Before this job, I work in a corporation, and that whole corporate culture is about A-type personality, tuning your own horn so you can climb the corporate ladder. It's quite competitive, and that's a company culture. I can't believe that's the only one. It's probably pretty common elsewhere, and it's totally conflicting with my self-value of all of this classic literature teaching you to be humble, to support other people, and putting yourself down, and enabling other people to be successful. So when you run into struggles or conflicts like that, what should you do? I can't just walk away because I still have a family to feed. And so does that mean in order to make more money or get a promotion, I should just ignore all of those teachings and deviate from my own inner values? And my own action was that I tolerated that culture for a while without changing who I am, because I just have a hard time selling myself and making me the center, right? Just trying to get a promotion. It makes me quite uncomfortable because in the long run, I know that's the wrong thing to focus on because it gives you bad dharma over time. It's not worth it. And that's my why of not changing who I am. And eventually, now I work at a healthcare organization. I mean, every place has its pros and cons, but generally speaking, people who get attracted to healthcare, they tend to want to help other people and have a more calmer presence. So I feel like it's a better fit. So I don't have to change who I am, and I can genuinely give praises to other people without feeling like I'm jeopardizing my own career. So that's just a quick example showing us how we can practice all of this ancient wisdom even in this modern society with a lot of conflicting value system. Please don't change your core values. It's more finding a way to adapt yourself to fit in. So it's a closer match. But before we wrap up, I want to share a book called Atomic Habits, because the methodology is about how do we just start to build on even 10 minutes a day, build on forming a habit before you expand it into a higher complexity or more time in your life. So I want to practice that same method in all of this ancient wisdom. So it's not just like a 20-minute chat with you and you listen to it and forget about it. We can actually practice it in our life. Start little by little, even with 10 minutes a day, trying to remind and ask ourselves, have I done any kind deeds? What was my true intent today? Was I able to help other people so that I'm on the right journey of my Dharma path in life? So that's my long answer to can we change our fate? Definitely yes, but it's easier said than done. And I hope by taking step by step, eventually we'll get to that right path and can positively influence our own fate. And thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.